Would you die for Christ? Like, actually, if someone said, deny Jesus or die, what would you do? Hold that thought, because over 130 years ago, 22 young men in Africa, not Europe, not Rome, right here in Africa, Uganda specifically, looked death in the face and said, I choose Jesus. And they were burned alive, beheaded, hacked to pieces, and still didn't back down. This is not just church history. This is our story as African Catholics. Let me tell you about the Uganda Martyrs and why they matter now more than ever, especially for us Nigerians. Flashback to the late 1800s, Uganda was ruled by Kabaka Mwanga, a powerful king who felt threatened by this new religion called Christianity. He was especially suspicious of young converts in his royal court. Why? Because they were starting to act different. They refused to lie, refused to take part in the king's immoral acts, and, this is key, they obeyed God above the king. Now imagine you are a young teenager, maybe 14 or 15 years old, serving in the palace. You're surrounded by luxury, power, but also corruption. You're trying to live holy in a place that hates holiness. That was the reality for these boys, and they didn't flinch. In the middle of all this was a young man named Charles Lwanga. He wasn't just faithful, he was on fire for Christ. He secretly baptized others, taught them the faith, protected the younger pages from abuse, and led prayer in hiding. This man was literally the youth minister of the palace. Now let's talk about what went down. One day, the king snaps. He finds out Charles has been baptizing and praying with others. He gives an ultimatum. Stop following Jesus or die. Charles smiles. He doesn't run. He doesn't plead. Charles, he smiles. He doesn't run. He doesn't plead. He says, I'm ready to die for God. And just like that, it begins. Over the next few days, 22 Catholics, most of them teenagers and young men, were marched to Namugongo, tied up and burned alive in one of the most horrific martyrdoms in history. And they went singing. Yes, singing as the flames rose. Can you imagine that kind of faith? And get this, one of the youngest martyrs, Saint Kizito, was only 14 years old. 14! That is Junior Secondary 3. He had barely lived, but he knew one thing. Jesus is worth dying for. So why does this matter to us right now in Nigeria? Because we are not that different. We may not be literally facing flames, but let's be honest, it's getting harder and harder to stand for Christ. Peer pressure, corruption, compromise. People are persecuted in Nigeria today for just going to Mass. Students mocked for praying, workers pressured to bend the rules for money. The temptation is real. To stay quiet, to blend in, to follow the culture. But the Uganda Martyrs remind us, faith is not just a label. Faith is a fight. A daily choice to say, I choose Christ, no matter what. And this isn't just about death. It's about how we live. Would you live for Christ in your WhatsApp chats, in your business deals, in your friendships? Would you love boldly, forgive radically, pray consistently, even when it's unpopular? That's the spirit of the martyrs. Not just dying once, but living faithfully every day. In 1964, Pope Paul VI canonized these 22 martyrs, making them officially saints of the Church. But when he did it, he didn't just call them Ugandan saints. He said they were a gift to the whole of Africa, and that includes you and me. In fact, every year, over 1 million people, many from Nigeria, travel to Namugongo in Uganda to celebrate these heroes. It's like the Catholic version of a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. The vibe is electric, the faith is deep, and the legacy is strong. So here is our challenge. The next time you're tempted to compromise your faith, remember Charles Lwanga. The next time you're mocked for being too spiritual, remember Saint Kizito. And the next time you're afraid to stand for what's right, remember the fire and Namugongo. Because those flames didn't destroy the church. The flames, they made it stronger. Their blood didn't silence the faith, it spread it across Africa. The Uganda Martyrs are not just saints in stained glass windows. They are your brothers. They are our legacy. And if they could die for Christ at 14, 18, and 25, then we can definitely live for Him. God bless you, and may the Uganda Martyrs pray for us all.